Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. And we are talking about losing the weight one more time for the last time. I have David Greenwalt, and he is the author of a book called The Leanness Lifestyle. He's also the founder of Leanness Lifestyle University, and he's a certified wellness coach. And today we're talking about a lot of people feel like they, quote, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. And today we're going to answer that question and say, is that true or false? So, David, welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Chantel, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's answer that question, because I think people have kind of, I bet anyone listening to this at some point has said, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. What is your opinion on someone saying that to themselves over and over again?
Well, on first blush, I would say I totally get it. I really do. I think that we all eat, we all live, we all have some kind of notion as to, there's an awareness of a mathematical equation going on here, right? There's at least some awareness of calories in, calories out. We've heard it since we were probably kids. Eat less and exercise more and all of that. However, I don't think people know what to do. So this, I know what to do, I just need to do it. The overwhelming majority of people don't know what to do, so they can't just do it. So I would just push back against that because I've just seen in my 30 years of coaching people that most people will come in and say exactly what you did. I know what to do. I just need to do it. I just need a little willpower. I just need a little support. I just need a little accountability, and then I got it. And what I would say is you don't got it with just that, but you can have it if we learn what's really going on, what's really behind the driving forces for compulsive eating and the imbalance of calories in, calories out, what's really going on, and metabolic disruption and so forth. If we really get a handle on what's going on, then you really can know what to do. So you really can just do it.
So one of the things that I like that you have on your website that you talk about is a flexible eating plan. And I think that, when things get too rigid, I know a friend of mine just got on this crazy plan that she had, and it was like eating like every 3 hours, and it was like a bar and then a shake and then a this and then a that. And it was, it infuriated me even listening to it.
Yeah.
And it was so rigid, and everything was off limits. And I thought to myself, this is going to lead to a disaster, because it's this cycle of when you deprive yourself, then it leads to a binge, then you feel guilty. Now we're on to another binge. So talk about making sure whatever plan you're on, that it is flexible, but that it's still a clean eating. How do you balance that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're right. Ours is flexible, and that's important. We've got, members from every walk of life and every culture and background and ethnicity, and you name it. And so all of those factors, feed into eating preferences. Food types, Spanish, Italian, French, you name it, Brazilian, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, each culture, you name it, has their own food base of sorts that they like. And maybe it's just what they were raised on, and they have preferences there. So what we say is you can take the leanness lifestyle with you anywhere. And regardless of your background, regardless of culture, we don't have any limitations whatsoever on, you can't have, we're not a, you can't have carbs. We're not a, you can't have these fats, or you can't have whatever. We're not about that at all. However, we are very big on a nutrition fundamental being to put as best you can. And what we say is exceptionally, not perfectly. We ask our students to strive for exceptional. So exceptional allows for being imperfect. Exceptional allows for being human. And so rather than perfectionism, which is a booby trap, and it's a failure waiting to happen because none of us is perfect, In striving for exceptional, one of those exceptional components when it comes to nutrition is to strive to eat 90% or greater real food. So whatever your culture, whatever your background is, whatever your food preferences are, we're going to say, strive to get consistently eating at least 90% real food.
I love that. And talk about some of the real foods that you feel like give you, the most nutrition, where you're feeling full, you're at the top of your gain, and you're not, wanting, it's kind of like that sugar begat sugar and going down this rabbit trail. So what are some of the foods that you're like, these are foods that I'm like, yes.
Yeah. So it's going to be some things that are probably common to a lot of your listeners. They've heard this, but I'll say it. And let me say, if I can, what my definition of real food is, because I think that'll give that broad umbrella for people to go, well, I like this. Does it fit the definition? So just, kind of real broad spectrum, just kind of the standard answer, vegetables, whole fruits, lean proteins, healthy fats, whole grains, single ingredient whole grains, those kinds of things, just kind of real broad answers are things that people are probably just nodding or whatever and going, yep, heard it before, got it, I know. So what I'd like to say in giving it kind of more of the umbrella answer for people to, again, my answer that I'm about to give, I think gives tremendous flexibility for your listeners to look at foods and then apply this definition and see, does it fit the real food definition? And if it does, then we're good. And so the real food definition we go by, and this is a loose definition. This isn't, the most scientific definition, but the loose definition that I think people can mostly remember without it being too difficult is real food is the unprocessed or natural edible parts of plants and animals where the only thing used in processing or added to them after removal from nature, are things commonly found in kitchens. So let me say that again. The natural, unprocessed, edible parts of plants and animals, where after removal from nature, the only thing used in processing or added to them are things commonly found in kitchens. So if that's the case, we consider it real food. And it's not just us. There's a Nova food classification system that's out there that came out of Brazil years ago that's really made the rounds in the scientific circles. And that's kind of one of the basis of, for our definition. But if it falls under that umbrella and under that definition, then good to go on real food.
Do you guys want to drastically improve the quality of your sleep? Would you like to be bulletproof to stress? Then guess what? There is a Black Friday special happening right now, and this could be exactly what you need. If you're struggling with insomnia or muscle cramps like in your legs or constipated, then let me tell you what you need. 4 out of 5 Americans are now magnesium deficient. Like, it's crazy. And that's a really big problem because magnesium is involved in more than 600 biochemical reactions in your body. And here's what most people don't know. Just taking any old magnesium supplement is not going to solve your problem because the cheapest kinds, it's where your body can't absorb it. So absolutely not. Here's what you need to do. I exclusively recommend Magnesium Breakthrough, okay? It's the only one that has 7 unique forms of magnesium that your body can actually absorb. 7 critical forms of magnesium. That means that's exactly what you need for your brain, for your sleep, for your pain, inflammation, and less stress. So here's the great news. Black Friday, this is the most incredible offer they're offering. From November 21st to the 29th, not only do you get Magnesium Breakthrough, but all of Bioptimizer's best-in-class products with an additional 25% off. So go to bioptimizers.com/wasteaway. I'll put it in the show notes. Enter the code wasteaway to get 25% off any order. So it's a huge deal. And if you've arrived here late, don't worry, there's always a 10% off for listeners. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, you listen to this episode later, don't worry. I always give a 10% off for my listeners. biooptimizers.com/wasteaway with the code wasteaway. So I would say, what about have you seen those like freeze dried where they're like freeze dried carrots or freeze dried raspberries, something like that? What would you define that as?
So I'd want to see, it could be real food. And what I'd want to do is I'd want to quit looking at the front of the package, and I want to flip it around, and I want to see what the ingredients are.
Like, what if it was just raspberries?
Probably going to be real food. Yeah, probably going to be real food. Some things you have to look at, like, you could have, soybean oil, and the ingredient could be soybeans, and you could be like, well, it's real food, but in the process to make it, you're looking at various hexanes and things that are chemicals that are not things commonly found in kitchens that were used to get the oil out, and so on and so on. Freeze-dried raspberries, that's probably not the case. Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper. But again, if we were just coming at this from someone saying, okay, if I'm going to buy into what Dave is saying, and it makes sense that we ought to try to exceptionally get to 90% real food. Okay, it just makes sense. If that makes sense, at least so far, without going into all the reasons why real food is good, then let's not overcomplicate it. Let's not say that, oh, it says freeze-dried raspberries, and so the ingredients are only raspberries, but Dave says we also have to look at how it's made. At this point, I would say we don't need to go that far. If you can just flip it around, look at the ingredients, and it's, the only thing in there is the natural edible part of a plant or an animal, and the only ingredients that you see on the back are things commonly found in kitchens, like spices or salt or, things like that, then I would say count it. Good. Go. Do that.
Talk about what your opinion is on the working out side of things. I know that's a big piece for you.
Yeah.
What is the piece where you would say, some people, when they work out too much, then they start kind of overeating and that sort of thing. So kind of finding that perfect balance where they're getting the right amount of exercise, and they're also, because I do believe it's, 80% diet. I think the working out piece is a big piece, but I think that people can get off the spectrum. So what is your opinion on the working out piece of things?
Yes, absolutely. Each person is different in that respect. What I would say is the general guidelines. Let me say this too, that what you probably have heard of it, but just in case your listeners haven't, I'm a body recomposition coach. So recomposition means that we want to lose excess fat as the person wants to get to whatever healthy weight they want. But we're also, from the get-go, very interested in keeping or adding muscle. So everything we do is about making sure that we maintain this incredible metabolically active skeletal muscle we have. And if we can, depending on the person and their goals, maybe even adding some muscle as we're losing fat. And most people that are, especially if you're obese, both things can occur. So just know that my mental framework comes at it from that perspective. So when it comes to exercise, first of all, we don't mandate that anybody strength train. We don't mandate that anybody exercise at all. We are going to promote it. We are going to help our students with a plan to make it fit into their life, regardless of their skill, regardless of any joint issues they may have, regardless of any limitations, schedule, you name it. Again, it needs to have that flexibility. But if I could wave a magic wand and get anything I wanted, what I would recommend to people is pretty standard unless they have a specific goal that I need to address separately. If someone comes to me and says, I want to run a marathon, great, we're going to train that way. If someone comes to me and that's not my normal client. My normal client is the everyday person and who wants to shed the excess fat. They are typically quite overweight or obese, and either way, but they just want to feel better. They just want to look better. They just want to reduce health risks and medications and just feel and look their best and be able to play with the kids and grandkids and have a better chance at feeling better and living longer. Okay, so so again, magic wand. What am I get? You asked, what about exercise? So with all of that in mind, during an action phase, during weight loss, the recommendation from government and exercise bodies, I agree with. And that is, we're probably going to need about 300 minutes a week. Now, people can do it on much less. People can do it training more, but about 300 minutes a week. And that cat can be skinned, in a number of ways. 60 minutes, 5 days a week, 50 minutes, 6 days a week, 75 minutes, 4 days a week, whatever. We want to do it all in one day, but we want to spread over multiple days. And then again, during action, not for life necessarily, 300 minutes a week. And then of that is 2 resistance training days, at least 2 resistance training days. Now that's not in addition to the 300, that's built into the 300. So if your strength training days, resistance training, strength training, if those days are, bear with me, 45 minutes each, then 2 days of that is 90 minutes. And that 90 is within the 300. So it all counts. But that's, that would be my magic wand. If I could just say, I'll give you anything you want. Here's the magic wand, do it. Bless you. That's what I would, bless you again. That's what I would request. And then, but then with each student, each person being unique and having unique schedules and limitations and whatever they may have and goals, we work within that to try to get something and then build on that from there.
Awesome. Well, tell listeners how they can find you and where they can follow you.
Okay. Well, the website is lluniversity.com. And we are also on all the social channels, usually as either LLU180, because the first course anybody takes with me is called Lifestyle 180. And so it's either LLU180 or Lifestyle 180 on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, but LL University is .com is the main website.
And you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.